And once again, good morning, Trinidad and Tobago. You're listening to the program You and I on PSA. And it's exclusively on the Street 91.9 FM, hosted by the Public Services Association of Trinidad and Tobago. And we are here Mondays to Fridays from 8 a.m. to 9 a.m. Mondays to Fridays from 8 a.m. to 9 a.m. I am Christopher Jofield, first Vice President, and I'm here with the Justice League, Mr. Bruce, Wayne, and our Director, Mr. Antonio, and of course, the reliable and dependable and loyal Second Vice President, Mr. Ian Murray. We say good morning.
Yes, good morning, Trinidad and Tobago. Good morning to all our hard-working public officers out there. Good morning to our General Council reps, the JCC staff side reps, the executive of the PSA, the national executive that is, and a pleasant morning to our president, Mr. Watson Duke,
who is currently on vacation.
Okay, yes, from today.
Yes.
The program is geared towards highlighting the concerns of public officers and the restoration of the respect and status that once existed in the public service, to halt and even reverse the systematic dismantling of the public service that is currently taking place as we speak. It is an interactive program, and we invite you to call in at any time during the course of the program using the following numbers: 622-9154, 622-3303, 631-0219, and 639-0791. You can also contact us on our official Facebook page, PSA Trinbago, or email us at psa.tnt@gmail.com.
And we always like to keep the theme of this whole program clearly in focus, lest we be misunderstood and think that there is that element of, political bashing. Because, they have the phobias because of the sycophants that seem to live everywhere on every station. This is a purely selfish and self-focused program aimed at pointing out that there is a conspiracy to dismantle the public service. That machinery that is established in our Constitution to provide services to the citizens of this country, and to have a bureaucracy that will ensure that there is transparency and accountability in the level of service that is provided to the citizens.
And Brother Joe, before you go anywhere, a lot of people like to take this word bureaucracy and make it into some big cumbersome thing, right? But what bureaucracy is really checks and balances to make sure that everything is done above board. So this thing that when you hear we say bureaucracy, and the politicians want to make this word bureaucracy into this evil word that it sounds like it's so big and tie up and all this kind of thing. No, that is really the checks and balances to make sure that they're spending your money correct,
and that you will be able to benefit from the services and the resources that are provided by the state through your taxes to make and to keep Trinidad and Tobago at a standard whereby the quality of life and the standard of living can move from that of third worldism to first world, from a 1960 something vision to a 2020 vision.
Oh, well, it reached 2030 now.
And here now it's 2030 vision. But how can we achieve that when you are destroying the systems and the efficient management of the public service by having the Service Commission give away its responsibility for hiring in an objective manner the qualified and entitled citizens of this country into the public service, into the civil service, to provide services to you, the citizenry? How can the civil service, the Service Commission, give up that function so easily to the Minister of Public Administration and allow for the vacancies that exist in the Comptroller of Customs to hire on contract temporarily persons who will not have security of tenure and therefore have that confidence that they can plan their lives with some kind of confidence? How can the Service Commission give up the authority to hire positions in particular ministries and divisions on the basis of a pilot project to fill vacancies on the establishment and devolve that to the permanent secretaries, opening the door now for oh God, that C word want to come out of my mouth, boy. Confusion and corruption.
Nepotism
and cronyism. Favoritism and my boyism. My boyism being the means by which persons will get jobs in the public service. How can we see this what is it called, that place there, the CPO, being negligent and derelict in its duty to keep under review the salaries of all these jobs in the civil service,
and the classification as
and
well,
to classify these jobs to keep it in line with the standards that Trinidad and Tobago is aspiring to as it relates to the global village that we now live in and the plan for 2020, now dubbed 2030.
But Joe, all that will serve to do is to make sure that a certain part of the citizenry will reach 2030 before others.
Yes, it's a race. And maybe it is being...
And we should all be getting there together.
And I heard them say that on the platform some time ago. Let us get there together.
Oh, together we aspire. Together
and
we
everybody
achieve.
else know the rest. Okay? How can the SASC be so derelict in its duty to not ensure that when they say you're putting a public officer in the in the zoo to watch the amount of money that is that is issued by the state to run the zoo, that position of the curator of the zoo is now suppressed for 3 years by the cabinet and allow the zoo to hire the position on contract.
But funny you should raise that issue. I saw some minutes of a particular meeting, Comrade Joe, where I was in total shock, where the ministry, a particular ministry, basically instruct the SASC to stop hiring entry-level positions in a particular organization, and then turn around and give permission to the ministry to hire jobs on contract to do the same jobs that they told them to stop hiring.
It is a corruption.
Unbelievable.
It is a corruption of the system. How is it that we can have the Service Commission giving away and giving up its responsibility for the hiring
responsibility,
for hiring jobs in the energy what ministry that is there? Energy Ministry, to the permanent secretary, and allow the PS to now select who he or he wants to come into the ministry. It's a corruption. How can we stand by and watch the immigration department degenerate to the state where these persons are these officers are collecting state funds, and there is no checks and balance, whereby when an employee goes on vacation, the password is one that is universal. Anybody could use it to access the computer system, just so that they can get access to the computer to provide the relevant information. How is it you can have immigration persons on the various ports of call across the borders of this country, operating from a desk in a container? How is it that you can have customs and immigration persons performing such a critical function of revenue gathering and collection, and you don't have a cashier, and you are when it is needed, you simply pull any customs officer, any immigration officer, and say collect cash? How is it that you can have no fixed, secure means of protection for the revenue which is collected on a daily basis by immigration officers? Because in Tobago, for example, they don't have any safe. You know, the safe that you use to secure the money that is collected by immigration.
Comrade, me ain't no lawyer, yeah? But I know this.
Which is against the financial regulations.
But I'm not going to tell you. I ain't no lawyer, but I'm almost certain it have financial regulations in this country, right? And all these government agencies, ministries, departments, divisions, all of them subjected to that law.
They are all breaking the law with impunity because they are clear.
And I don't want to believe it's deliberately so, but it's because of this same topic we discussing here on a daily basis, the dismantling of the public service, that it don't have cashiers to do what they're supposed to do. Armed security, wherever you're collecting a certain amount of cash. I know these are some of the things. A particular vault or safe to put the money in case you can't bank it the same day.
Yes.
You understand? And you need to leave it overnight. Them is common sense thing. I mean, yes, I know.
But the regulations is clear. You know, the financial regulations are clear to ensure that there is no opportunity for the money that is collected by these authorized agents of the state to not put themselves at risk for being robbed or to put themselves at risk for being induced, to put themselves at risk for being accused.
But you know, if 5 cents missing, they're going to take the public officer to task.
How is it that we can reach to the place where these officers at immigration have to subject themselves to working conditions that does not protect their safety on a daily basis? Where people, when they are advised of what the law is in respect to immigration in this country, they have to now hide and wait or probably disguise themselves so that they could leave their workplaces when the shift is completed to get home. How is it that we reach this place where immigration officers working for 8 hours, being scheduled to work over 8 hours and not be paid an overtime in accordance with the standards in the public service, which was agreed to between the CPO and the recognized association for these public officers, where when these immigration officers come work the extended hours due to the fact that there are so many vacancies that they, in order to keep service to the citizens of this country at an optimum level, they go well outside of the 8-hour requirement. And when they apply for the overtime, they are told to recalibrate your overtime calculations to not show the additional hours because it is not going to be paid. How is it that overtime for immigration officers have not been paid for over 2 and 3 years? Because the managers appear to be taking the money to do other things and there is no accountability. And yet, there is an auditing department that started living in the immigration department some time ago, and they are auditing everything else, but not auditing the standards which the law requires to protect the state's revenue and to ensure that the procedures are followed to the letter and the spirit of the law to ensure organizational efficiency and effectiveness in the immigration department. How is it we can see immigration officers reduced to an employee who is wearing a uniform and you cannot tell what is the rank of that immigration officer? How is it that you have police officers with ranks that are clearly established on their shoulders or on their epaulets? How is it that you have soldiers, licensing officers, these customs officers, customs guards? You have all other manner of public officers who are charged with protecting the state's financial and security interests. And the ordinary citizen can tell them apart at a glance And when it comes to an immigration officer, you have to look at him and wonder if he work in KFC, or you're wondering if he work in courts. And when you look at the logo is different. It is now changed from the upside down horseshoe to the logo that we use in the World Health Organization, with the leaves bordering the outside of the monogram. How is it that we have changed so you can't tell the various ranks of an immigration officer at a glance? The mischief in the matter is aimed at taking junior and less experienced persons in the immigration and giving them higher responsibilities over senior and more qualified people. Why are they destroying the morale of immigration officers like that in this country, when security is a prime directive of the Ministry of National Security?
Well, that question I feel I could answer. Because if your immigration division ain't working properly and anybody could come in this country, easy it are one set of people here can't even talk English. They're talking everything else but English. But they getting everything they want in this country. Right? You hear any citizens talking about it. People talking Chinese, but they're driving motor car all over the place and they are licensed. Some of them have passport. You mash up the system that's supposed to ensure our national security and the protection of the borders and the sifting out of who could come into this country legally and not. When you dismantle that, we expect one set of people feeding off of the resources of this country, and they ain't born here.
Is the invisible few with their fat fingers aimed at taking all.
We have a caller.
We have a caller?
Yes, we just lost.
It is the actions of the invisible few with their who wants to get their fat fingers on the finances of this country. We have a caller.
No.
We lost that one. We are watching the demise and the disintegration of the public service in such a insidious way that it makes you ask yourself, is it that they think the ordinary citizen is blind, uneducated, and is not aware that there are international standards that guide all these bureaucracies that protect the interest of the citizens? Because even an air traffic controller has a rank on his epaulette. You can tell who is the senior officer at a glance.
No, we have contract officers now, you see.
But you can't tell that when you take away the rank of the epaulette of an immigration officer and just put him in a uniform that appears to look good, but he is no different from a court's employee, an employee of standards, because all these services dress their employees well, you know. We have to hand it to them. What is happening with the standards in this country as it relates to the public service? Why are we degrading the standards to cause the morale of the public officer to be so low that he is now prone to considering going and moonlight, going and drive taxi?
In case people don't know what moonlighting is, go and look for our next walk.
Going and take inducements because his pay is so low, going and have to supplement his income because the managers at the immigration division turns away his overtime payments, his overtime calculations when they are due, when they are submitted? Why are they oppressing public officers in general and immigration officers in particular in such a spiteful way? Why is it that we are not sending home that particular public officer with that responsibility for management at the immigration department? Send her home in the public interest, because the Public Service Commission regulations makes allowance for that. But then, when you have a 71-year-old ombudsman sitting down inside the office of the ombudsman
for 11
years and not focusing and pointing out the deficiencies and the wrongdoings in the public service aimed at correcting it,
only making mischief,
and only focusing on mischief against her executive officer,
we have a caller.
We could never get where we want to be. Good morning. Keep it constructive.
Good morning, caller.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Yeah, this is
Good morning. If you are not there, please call back. We value your input because we know there are right-thinking persons out there, and they are able to assess the information for themselves. Good morning.
Good morning, caller.
Hi, good morning, Mr. Josie, and to the rest of the panel. Mr. Josie, you all have an interactive program, and I think what you all should be doing also is follow up, because, since you all started the program, you all have addressed a lot of issues, but just like journalists, they do not do follow up. And it seems like, if they're being dictated, because they will bring a story and then they just throw it out there and we don't hear anything about it after. Like if somebody will call and say, all right, don't follow up that. You understand? But the petty things and things, I have to say the petty things and things, they normally follow it up. Right? Because like I give you all a situation with the detention center, right? I give you all a situation with Service Commission, right? You said there's over 50,000 members, right? I would like to know, right? Could you all tell me how do you go through the Freedom of Information Act? How do you go through that? I would like to know. Okay.
All right. Well,
that's all. We have one more caller.
We have another one?
Yeah.
Good morning.
Good morning, caller.
Yeah, hello, morning.
Yeah.
Good morning.
Yeah, I the caller who called just now. What I was trying to say, right?
But we wasn't here. We wasn't here.
Yeah. The whole entire system set against African people, black people, say talking frank. Because you see, black people have a certain blessings and or a certain right way is to develop in this millennium here. In this time, we really don't have a new millennium, right? It is written. Ancient Babylon rule from Nebuchadnezzar straight down to Rome, which that 2,000 years don't expire. So right now they know they have to implement a new world order for where the world going. Right now they're saying it overpopulated to run the earth in a system of this kind of industrial pollution affecting the world. It would have 7 billion people and heading to more. Right? So they realize to run the earth under science and technology, they have to have a certain amount of people, otherwise they're going to have fossil fuel, salt free, and all these things going to affect man.
Thank you very
much.
Thank you, comrade.
We don't know where the people who run the earth.
Thank you, comrade. Thank you. We don't mean to cut you, but the time is very limited. All right? And we appreciate your point of view. But to answer the question of the sister,
it's simple. Where
the freedom of information is concerned, and I want to speak to that in particular, because
I want to know what's the process.
Yeah, well, all you really need to do is to apply.
Yeah, and you can get the forms that it should be available at every ministry.
You can even download it.
Yeah.
Right? But that is another challenge that immigration officers are having. Imagine immigration officers, just like a lot of other public officers, when they go to the HR department to make a request to have a look at their personal file to see what's on it, so they can measure what kind of record is being compiled on them over their years of service. You know, these nastiness that passes for HR representatives are telling them that they cannot access their personal file, their own personal file, unless they apply through the Freedom of Information Act.
That is nonsense.
That is nonsense. And that is to tell you that they want to either cause somebody to change their conduct because I have a certain entitlement.
As a matter of fact, nothing on your personal file should be there without your knowledge.
Exactly. And I am entitled to ask at any point in time, and all public officers should just decide, I want to see my personal file. Leave your office and go and ask the HR, I want to see my personal file today. Because it is a violation of your right as an employee of the state and as an employee, period, to not be able to have access to your personal file to assess what is happening in terms of the records that is being kept on your performance.
I mean, not that your personal file don't only keep that. Every qualification you have or you are pursuing now and may get in the future, you're entitled to bring it in and add it to your personal file.
But you are expected to bring it in too. You are expected. And these slackers who are managing the public service come in to tell you that you need to use the Freedom of Information Act to look at your personal file. What nonsense are we seeing passing for management in the public service today?
But you know, that brings me to the newspaper article I read this morning, Comrade Joe, where there's according to the papers, a witch hunt now for the public officer or the whistleblower who would have given the country the information that they spent $92,000 on a trip to Tobago. But that is public information. We are searching for the whistleblower for, right? It's not the man's personal banking business that was exposed.
Exactly.
It's government money spent for that.
No.
You understand? That's supposed to be transparent. That the public entitled to know that they spent $92,000.
The FCs that run this place now, the FCs that are running this place don't want anybody to know how the money is being consumed on a personal level, ostensibly to be looking after the interest of the public, because he gone to Tobago on ostensibly to perform some official function. And what he do?
Well, we are sure.
All right. Okay.
All we know, it costs $92,000 at least, and apparently the figure right, because it causing a lot of fuss.
Look at, I am so concerned. The PSA is so concerned about the conditions of work that immigration officers have to be subjected to in the line of their duties, where to the extent that when they apply, when they are told that they have to be transferred to Tobago, you know that they transfer these people on a notice today for tomorrow.
That can't happen.
I'm telling you, I am telling Trinidad and Tobago, and if I lie, any one of them could call. The numbers are 622-9154, 622-3303, 631-0219, or if you're in Tobago, 639-0791.
That can't happen, Joe.
They transferring these people from Tobago to Trinidad or from vice versa with a one-day notice. And this is the Ministry of National Security under the...
All right. Well, if it not supposed to happen...
Watch your headphone. Yeah. Ready?
Yeah. If it can't happen then, right? It certainly can happen now. Not with that AC bridge we have there now.
Well, I not even looking
nobody today for tomorrow.
But that is the kind of management style that is taking place over at the immigration.
The Public Service Commission regulations is clear, right? Clear on what's supposed to happen when you have to transfer a public officer, right? If you have to at least give the person 1 month's notice.
At least 30 days, and I agree with that. But in the case of immigration officers, they have it even a little longer, you know. I think that I was told that they have as much as six weeks notice.
I know, and there are specific regulations when you have to leave this island to go to the other island that form part of this twin island state, which is from Trinidad Tobago. There are special regulations regarding that type of transfer.
And comrade,
it can't be today for tomorrow.
I even want to point out the squalid conditions under which these immigration officers and other public officers who have to have housing when they go to Tobago, because the amount that the regulations allow for is 5,000. And the standard of the
5,000 what a month?
Yes, for the housing rental, and the standard of the environment that they have to the housing that they are getting is so low, and sometimes it is so dilapidated because they didn't respect the 30-day or the 6 weeks notification to allow the landlord to do whatever necessary repairs on the building so that the public officer can get a decent place to rent while he and his family is deployed in Tobago for an extended period of time. They give them the notice today for tomorrow. And the high-handedness is so obscene existing at the immigration office that they have this term called mutation, which is really supposed to be a rotation. I don't know how rotation has been mutated to become a mutation policy, because if you are using the term right, a rotation implies that they will be moved around in an orderly fashion to work from various places with the benefit of ensuring that the public officer gets the exposure in an even-handed way. I understand in one case you have an immigration officer who has been rotated on the mutation policy, and he has been there for as much as 10 years.
What?
Why the inconsistency in the management of the staff arrangements at the immigration division?
That rotation is definitely a mutation.
What is the reason for that kind of inconsistency in the management of the human resource at the immigration department? What is the reason for it? It is essentially aimed at demoralizing the public officer to the extent that he becomes bewildered, confused, and in some cases so frustrated that it begins to affect his physical and mental health. And that has implications for his family life as well. Because these are people who are breadwinners. And this Trinidad and Tobago, comrade, is an immigration, is an international standard organization. Because national security has a standard that is universal in order for us to get the most out of the protections that the citizen is entitled to. And the protection of your borders must be done in such a way that those persons you meet at the ports of entry must not be put in a situation where they are so depressed, so demoralized, or so insignificant in terms of what their ranks are, that an ordinary citizen or a potential visitor cannot tell who they are speaking to when they are being addressed by an immigration officer. Good morning.
Hello, morning. Hello. Hello.
Morning and welcome.
Morning. I find that, all of a sudden, but the police have been seizing alcohol, real often these days.
They season alcohol. And they season it, but nobody knows how they could test it.
Please hang up and try your call again.
Nobody knows how it can be tested because the Chemistry, Food and Drug Division Laboratories, which has the responsibility for analyzing the content of the alcohol that is seized, has been inoperative since
So I don't know how they will charge these people. Eventually, we'll just have to let them go, and they will keep the alcohol and probably throw party with it when Christmas come.
We have to ask.
That's what's going on.
Yeah, we have to ask ourselves, why is it that they are allowing the standards and the system in the public service to degrade to the extent that the safety, the health, the general welfare of the public officer and those who are charged with delivering that service is being compromised?
But
you know why?
I'm watching this Ministry of Education. I'm watching them. Remember that some bacchanal with somebody advisor went to pay some contractor with some check and what's that nonsense?
I recall that, yes.
I understand only trying to get we public servants involved in that nonsense. I'm watching here. We have a whole written report on it. Go ahead. You continue to try to get we civil servants involved in all your nonsense.
That is
with
not
contractor and who gain check and who leave the public service out of that. Leave public servants alone. All right.
622-9154. 622-3303. 631-0219. Tobago 639-0791. Those are the numbers to call. Because to keep silent and to watch the public service degenerate like that. Yes, we have a caller. Good morning.
Good morning.
Yeah, come on.
Good morning.
Good morning. Sorry about that.
Mm-hmm.
As guardians of the workers, then, like the PSA and the other.
Yes, as guardians of the workers' interest and and protectors of the citizens' welfare.
Right. This will include the service that we receive.
Correct.
from the public, from the public service.
Yes.
You know, like I say now that because of the amount of information that is being gathered now, if it is that there are any punitive measures that can be taken, like, you know, to go to some, like, let me say the industrial court, to be precise, to get redress concerning these issues, and how powerful is the court to make a decision that could create real change. And that is my contribution.
Thank you very much.
Yes.
Correct.
Yes.
And
Excellent.
while
Excellent.
you're on that topic, right? Just yesterday, and we want to congratulate the court too.
The industrial court has some strength.
Yes, very. They delivered a judgment on behalf of the PSA yesterday, and a worker that was dismissed, unceremoniously dismissed at the Blind Welfare Association, and a accountant at that, somebody who was just trying to protect the state's money.
Yes.
Right? And they find that she was given too much trouble. She was following too much of the bureaucracy, the checks and balances.
The rules too strictly.
Right? So they get rid of she and get a contract officer. Right? Well, the industrial court, our industrial court, right, ruled on that yesterday. And the worker was in receipt of $250,000.
It costing them now to pay the worker back. That is the state that we have reached. We're managers. And to answer your question, caller, there is a kind of impunity and disregard by the managers in this country, in the public service, where they could do as they please, because the accountability seems not to be as strong as it should. Nobody is being held accountable from administration to administration. The other day I see they tried to take some action against a PS for some painting that cost some money. But thank God he was exonerated. But that is rare, because we are seeing bad management, poor management, inefficient management by VAPs being used as the yardstick to operate in the public service, and nobody is being held accountable. We at the Public Services Association, we intend to bring it to you because it is our intention to put up a resistance. We will see you on Monday, God's willing. Thank you for listening.
Wanna stay home tonight.